working soon? Yeah, I think that's good. Okay. What's up, everyone? Happy Monday to you. Just wanted to pop in really closely. Let me slide back so I can get in all the frames. And I wanted to talk about something really quickly that I've been seeing happen quite a bit. Very popular, particularly amongst new wholesalers. And I just wanted to address. There's going to be like a 5 second topic that hopefully can help you adjust your game. So this, what I'm talking about here, is something that, number one, if you're a new wholesaler, you're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot. If you're just getting started, it's going to screw you from the jump. There are also legal implications if you don't want to get in any type of trouble, and you making it kind of bad for the rest of us. What's up, everybody? I always forget to wave back. Bang, bang, bang. Nice to have you guys. So before I get into the specifics of something you should absolutely not do, I just want to say the reason I'm doing this is in part because, as many of you know, I am hosting my very first 3-day live event, live wholesaling event. It will be virtually, so I'm very excited. And what I've been doing is looking for topics to cover. So for everyone that has completed the survey or emailed me a question or DM or whatever, thank you guys so much, and please do keep those coming. If you haven't, do it. Ask me questions. That's very helpful. So this is something that I saw in a Facebook group. Also, just so you guys know, I'm probably going to throw a link however I can, but if you want to check that out, I highly encourage it, because this is going to be unlike any other boot camp or conference or anything you've been to. This is not going to be like, a whole bunch of people screaming some speech at a room full of people. What I want to do is keep it very much intimate to the so we can have some one-on-one time, right? So I can do a lot of live Q&A, and so I can answer, and I will stay there and answer every single one of your questions. And I'm just very excited. And so obviously I'm still working on the content here, which is how this came up, and I'm going to be showing you guys some previews on my social media and so on and so forth, kind of what I'm putting together as we go. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in just a second. But what I want to get to is this. So I saw this in a Facebook group, and somebody posted, he said, "Hey guys, newbie here, but I need some assistance. I have a person who looks like they're willing to sell their home. This is what they wrote," and they posted some text messages. What should my next steps be? And so what he wrote here is, I work with a lot of cash buyers who purchase properties from sellers looking to buy, and then goes on and explains the process. So the mentality and the thought process here, at least what I think is happening, is this person probably wants to be transparent and very much ethical, and to a degree there's probably a self-protection kind of mechanism going in there, again, by being super open. But what this person doesn't realize is what he is doing here, advocating here, is illegal if he's not licensed. You see, if you are not a licensed realtor, it is illegal for you to collect a commission from the sale of real estate, be it a referral, or or selling the property. So then you might ask yourself, well, then how the hell do we exist as wholesalers, right? And so there are two primary ways that you wholesale, that you flip properties. You could do it with no cash and no credit, and I want to explain that to you, the nuance here as to why that is not a commission, and why you can't do this shit that this guy's talking about. Not hating, obviously he's a new person, and so that's what we're here for, is for us to come in and have this type of conversation, right? Hey, anyway, so let's start with the first primary way to wholesale. This is called an assignment. This is where you go to a distressed homeowner. It could be someone in a bad situation, motivated seller of some type, or distressed property. Maybe it's vacant, inherited, or what have you. And you go on and you go to them and you say, hey, negotiate a price to sell the property at basically less than what it's worth. Before I get sidetracked, I saw something the other day, and it was saying like, it's wholesaling ethical, and they were like, nothing's ethical when you're paying someone 60 cents on a dollar, right? But the fact of the matter is, if a house is worth, let's say, $100,000, and the bank is gonna, and let's say they owe $50,000, the bank is gonna come in and take the house and kick them out. Well, if you give them $60,000, they get to pay the bank $50,000. They get to keep $10,000, go downgrade rent, whatever, and they don't have a foreclosure on their credit report, and they can get a loan when they get back on their feet. Well, then that's a much better situation to be in. So that's not true. It's all contextual, right? But in any event, getting back to the assignment. So what you're going to do is you're going to sign a purchase agreement with the seller. Now, what that means is when you make that legally binding contract, you now have equitable interest, which means you are the only person who is legally able to buy that house. Meaning, of the 7 billion people in the world, you're the only one. You want to feel special? You're the only one who is allowed to legally purchase that property. So, what does that mean? That means that contract is now an asset, right? You can sell that. You can sell the rights. So when you assign that contract, you are not selling the property. You are not collecting a commission. You are selling the rights, the equitable interest, the rights to purchase. I don't know if I said that enough. The right to purchase the property. You are selling your interest. Okay, so that is not the same as a commission, and those fees can vary wildly. It depends on how good the deal is. You know, you could do a deal and make $40,000. You can make, I know people figure profits. You can make a $500 profit, right? It all depends on how good the deal is. So the second way that you're going to do this is called a double closing, right? I know a lot of you are familiar with this, but I'm going to go over it anyway to show you why this is not the same as a commission. So in the case of a double closing, same thing, you negotiate a purchase price with the seller. So let's say I'm the buyer, there's a seller over here somewhere. I offer to buy the property for $100,000. Then I go out and I sign a contract. It's called A to B contract. Then I go out and I negotiate with an end buyer to sell them the house for, let's say, $120,000. Right? Now, what happens if you don't have $100,000 sitting in the bank? Well, you use what we call transactional funding. So this is a loan that you can get that is not contingent on credit at all. I'll explain why in a second. So this is how it's going to work. You're going to sign a contract, a purchase agreement with that seller for $100,000. Then you're going to send all the paperwork to your title company. Then you're going to sign a separate purchase and sales agreement with you this time as the seller. The other person is the buyer for the $120,000. Send it to the title company. When you're ready to close, the buyer who's buying the property from you, that $120,000, they're going to wire in $120,000 to buy the property. At which point, the title company will call your transactional funder and say to that person, okay, the 120 is there. You're good to send 100. They're just going to send me, to the title company, but on behalf of me, $100,000 in. I use that money, that $100,000 to buy the property. I now own it. And now that I own it, the 120 is there, right? So that's why it doesn't matter your credit, because the money's there. There's no risk to the lender. Okay, so now the 120 is there. I can get deeded over. So I get the 120. So what happens now? I have the end buyer's 120. I can send back the person who loaned me $100,000. I send it back to them. It's literally like a 5-minute loan. There are times it could be 24 hours or whatever, but basically, for argument's sake, it's a 5-minute loan. You own the property for 5 minutes. You send them back $100,000, and then you send them 1% typically, which is what the cost you pay for the loan, which is very inexpensive. So in that case, I'd send them back $101,000. Of course, we're not talking about any closing costs or anything here, just for sake of simplicity for the math. Send them 101, and then I make a $19,000 profit, right? In some places, if you use a national transactional funder, which you should try not to, you should try to use a local one, at least in the state. What up? What up, Shellington? Threw me off track. You'll pay 1%. If you use a national lender, or in certain places like California, you're gonna get charged probably 2%, a little bit higher. But try to only pay 1%. So the reason this is not a commission now is because I have owned the property, even if I only owned it for 5 minutes. It doesn't matter if you own the property for 5 minutes, you own the property for 5 years. I owned it, and then I resold it. So it's just like a grocery store. They buy the bananas from the farmer for 50 cents, and they sell it to you in the grocery store for $2. That's not a commission. That's a purchase, own, and resell. Okay? So those are the two ways that we are doing this and how we do it legally and properly. Okay? And so that's like the big distinction, as opposed to saying like, hey, I got these buyers and I'll send them there and I'll take a cut, or I'll take a commission or a fee. Don't say that, and be very careful. You get reported. There's various entities that handle that stuff, and you don't want to get fined. You don't want to go to jail. You don't want eyes on you. Like, stop doing that shit. Okay, stop saying stuff and stop alluding to it. Again, some people, I think, do this as a way to want to be transparent, which is a good thing. Obviously, you want to be that, but you're giving away, I guess I'd say, too much information, but it's also false information, because that is not what you're doing. I think some people are just trying to explain it to the seller, like, hey, this is me showing you I'm an asset. Stop doing that. And as I showed, like, I think some people maybe even feel uncomfortable, maybe even a little bit deceptive in saying like, hey, I have cash to purchase, knowing that they don't have cash. But this goes back to Rich Dad Poor Dad 101. Most of my cash buyers, they don't have cash necessarily liquid. A lot of them are using private or hard money to purchase deals from me. So that's completely fine. And what I would say to you, if you're in this ethical dilemma where you're not comfortable saying things like that, it all goes back to how good the deal is. So let's say, for example, if through some amazing connection that you had, you were able to purchase the Empire State Building for $1 million, right? And you signed a purchase agreement. Even if you don't have $1 million, do you think you'd have a problem someone lending you $1 million? You think you'd be able to find someone who can fund that for you? So if you find deals like that, you absolutely will have access to that type of capital. And that's some of the things that I want to show you guys, and I can help you get that kind of capital if you even want to keep it. I work with some really, really good hard money lenders down here in Florida. Or if you just want to flip it for quick cash, that's what I'm here for too. So on that note, guys, please do continue to send me your questions. I am building up. This is the most thorough, most amazing training. I dropped a video on YouTube the other day. It was about 2 hours long. It was one of my like webinar things. And someone left a comment saying, yo, this is way too long. And I sent out an email today. Some of you may have seen it. I was like, listen, man, we've all watched 2-hour movies. We've watched 2.5-hour movies. We've binged Netflix. Some of us are going to college for 4 years or more to get a degree that we're never going to use, right? But to invest in your self-education for 2 hours, that's too much. And it's just, dude, it's not realistic. Like, some people want to get on these things and just get the high, the dopamine rush of being like, oh yeah, I'm learning some shit so I can do it. But really, at the end of the day, man, it's just for the dopamine hit. You're just like learning, consuming, but which is good. You know, I'm not completely knocking that. Or if you need to learn something specific, you know, I try to cut a lot of fluff in my videos, but at the same time, you got to invest in yourself. You got to put the time in, right? You need to do that. So, you know, yeah, you need to do that worthwhile. So anyway, if you think 2 hours is a lot, I'm going to be doing a 3-day conference. It's going to be just me and you guys. I'll probably be talking for about 8 hours a day. Anyone who knows me, I'm a talker, so I might even go a little bit longer because I'm making a commitment to not leave this thing until every single person, and I mean this, you guys can hold me to it. I don't care if I have to stay up, you know, through the whole thing, but every single person has every single question answered. This is the opportunity to have real one time with me. You know, if you're not one of my mentoring students, this is the next closest thing. It will be live. If you can't make the whole thing, I don't expect everyone. Like I said, it'll be 8 hours a day for 3 days. So we're talking 24 hours of me, of Mike in your face, which might be kind of rough for some of you, especially if 2 hours is a problem. But I'm doing it anyway. And if you can't be there for the whole thing, it's going to be recorded. You're going to get a copy of the recording, and you're also going to get, sorry, I'm going to get to questions in a minute, but they're coming up everywhere, and I don't want to get too off topic. But you're also going to get access to like a bunch of resources. I'm giving away my whole online university. So that's all tools, contracts, marketing materials, resources, some software stuff that I made, like all good stuff I put together that you need to do your deals. But here's the other thing I really want to point out before I go, and then I'll take any questions that you guys have. But check this out. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of really good information out there. There's information channels on YouTube that didn't exist when I was coming up. So like, kudos, this is awesome stuff. A lot of people are putting out. I'm doing my best to do the same. But I do want to mention this part, in that information and knowledge is 100% necessary, right? You need it. No one's arguing there, but I would argue to you that it's not necessarily enough. So if we take as an example, an analogy, right? Let's talk about losing weight for a minute. Everybody knows how to lose weight. It's not really that complicated of a thing to do. It's like you consume less calories, and you know, do some exercise, eat some healthy food, stop eating processed shit, and like, you know how to do it. And yet, like, a third of the country is obese. Most people that try it can't do it. And a good personal trainer or a good plan is not just gonna give you a recipe or give you, you know, do this workout plan, but there's more to it. So not only accountability, which is a big part of it, something I'll talk about, but there are things that I'm going to be focusing on that I don't think you get in a lot of traditional videos or, you know, training courses and things of that nature. And I want to do it in such a way where it comes together. So it's not either or, but you get the foundational, the knowledge, the formulas, the actual shit that you need to look for, the list that you need to target, you know, all the, what would you call that? Like the book smart type stuff, right? But then it's integrated, not separate, but integrated with what are the right mindsets? How can we rewire your brain? What false belief systems do you have? And I have a little bit different take on this than a lot of people, and not only from a more conceptual or theoretical thing, but like how can I deal with it and put certain things in place to deal with things like, issues of motivation or procrastination or, levels of comfort, like whatever your beliefs are, right? How to get the result that I want. It's not just about learning how to wholesale. Like we talk about the what was that example we just dropped? The weight loss example. It's not just knowing, man. It's about cashing checks. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to go into 2021 doing. That's what I want to bring some people in 2021 doing as well. So on that note, we're going to talk about stuff like that. We're going to talk about habits and routines, how often you should be doing stuff. How do you make things habitual? What types of routines are you engaging in? Time management, consistency, and just putting together a lot of these things that are, I don't want to say abstract concepts, but it's going to be a lot focused on the implementation. So also what's really going to help me with this again, guys, is your feedback, your questions, your comments. You can send it to me on any social media, Facebook, YouTube. If you didn't see the YouTube video I just dropped yesterday, go watch it. It's the long one, but it's showing you one free way to find motivated seller leads. It's really, really good for beginners, and I have a whole, you just got to do it in the right order. That's a big part of it, and that's something I'm going to be talking about as well. But send me your questions. If you sign up for the program, for the 3-day live event, like I said, you're getting all the freebies. You're getting access to my course for free. And it's going to be a hell of a time, and I'm really putting a lot into this. So I'm still working on the outline. I'm going to be talking about this all week. So if you get sick of me, I'm going to apologize for Monday, but I'm not going to stop because I want to squeeze everything in there. So you ask me questions beforehand, but again, I'll be taking questions live during the training as well. So that website, I'll try to see if I can type it in here in just a second, but it is www.wholesalingwithmike.info/live, and there's a lot of details, a breakdown of what we're going to cover every single day, and it's subject to change, so I could drop some more stuff in there. Okay, so yeah, I'll try to type that in here. Thank you guys for joining me really quickly on this Monday, and if you're watching this on a replay, please do in the comments, drop those notes and questions there for me so I can get to that. Okay, so we're like a week away. I'm talking about this all week. I'm gonna be blowing up your inboxes if you're on my email list, but I promise you, be well worth it. Of course, I promise you, it's gonna be the dopest shit I've ever done. More thorough, most thorough, biggest event training, and of course, if back by money back guarantee type shit. If you don't think it's the best way you've ever spent any money, I'll give you all that stuff back. So anyway, Jonathan saw my Zillow lesson. Beautiful. I hope you put it to use. It definitely works. That said, I try to teach as much as I can a fluff-free environment, but there is so much that I could teach in like an hour or even 2 hours, right? So there are levels of not just everyone can find those same deals, but it's about the consistency in terms of your let's say your follow-up is huge, right? So sometimes you might follow up on a property for a week and get it, and sometimes it might take you like a month, and you got to follow up or communicate, and there are certain things that you should be saying, and it all go back to how you make your offers. You're making assignable, not assignable. What is that based on? Well, they're inverse relationships between what's in your best interest and makes it easiest for you to sell versus, for example, what's most likely to get accepted, right? If we're on Zillow, is it a for sale by owner on there, or are we talking, or an MLS, or is it through an agent? How many days on market? And so it goes back to offering. I have different criteria for all of that. And then how often are you following up? When you follow up, what do you say? What's your communication like? And so there are a lot of, you can, like I said, you can do it, but like there's some nuances I could give you that can make you do it a lot faster and more efficiently, and kind of give you a formula that you can use over and over to ensure that you're doing these deals every month if that's a lead source you choose to pursue. All right. First day putting in work, almost got a property in the contract. Beautiful. Congratulations. Let me know where that property is. And if it's in Florida and I can help you sell it, let's do it. Let's make some joint venture. Let's do some joint venture. We're not even calling it a webinar. Webinars are 2 hours, man. This is an event. This is going to be, like I said, 3 days of goodness. So give me a second here, folks. I'm going to type this in, especially so anyone who's on the replay get to the site, wholesalingwithmike.info/live. That's where we're going to be. And make sure you go watch my YouTube video if you missed it, all right? So I think I'm gonna cut the Facebook feed since I gave you guys the link there, so I get this mic out my way. And yeah, I'll be doing these little lives by the way all week. That way, if you guys, all right, so I'll be here all week. So if you think of anything and you didn't get to DM me or Instagram or whatever yet, keep it in your head and look out for my lives, and I'll answer them for you. Okay. So peace, Facebook, and everyone else. I'm gonna just type this in there, answer any questions, and then I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, dot wholesale.info / live. Oops, misspelled that. All right, Instagram. If you are, I don't know. Thanks for tuning in, or if you're watching the replay, hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Instagram. If you go on, what is this thing called? Shit, I forget. IGTV or something like that. I also have a like a video. I didn't even end this video. A video message that kind of walks you through what to expect during the 3-day conference. What are some of the things I'm going to cover and all that good stuff. So go check it out. It's the thumbnail says you're invited. Okay. All right. So thank you for joining. I'm out over here. I think not quite. There we go. Sorry, you two. I didn't forget you guys. Just figuring out the social media thing, man. I gotta go get my girl some dinner because it's a school night, folks. And I'm trying to be a decent dad, you know what I mean? Yeah, happy belated to you. Happy belated holidays to you and yours. Thank you so much. And we still have some more holidays to celebrate. Christmas is my favorite time of the year. So that is phenomenal. How many hours you call a day? It depends on the day. I have different schedules. I also have VAs that make calls on my behalf. So my call schedule will fluctuate. You typically between an hour, 4 hours, and then there's just some days where like you're just on it, and I could just go all day. And then for what I would do, it really depends on when you are starting. And then my VAs, that's all they do is actually I have another VA who does other stuff, but I have 2 cold calling VAs, and that's all they do. We're gonna go over how much you should be calling, how to look at your market, and levels of activity at the same during the 3-day. And the other thing that I'm doing is basically breaking it down to make it more specific to you. What are your goals? What is your market? What is your budget? What is your time availability? And off of them, that way we can also manage your expectations by looking at the proper metrics. So on that note, I have to go get my child some food, so she's so I can be a decent father. But thank you guys if you're watching this on the replay or if you join me live. Make sure please leave your questions, comments, so I can answer them for you here, and or use you for your, for lack of a better word, for your feedback to add into the presentations that I'll be putting forth for the 3-day event, which we're about a week away from. So again, really excited for that, and yeah, I will see you guys. Hopefully at the 3-day event, but I'll be seeing you all throughout the week. So I'm gonna be making a lot of noise on this. All right, guys. So thanks again, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.